Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Fed Flash Face-Off. I am, of course, Gary Ryan. I am the Fed League Flash, and we've got quite a show for you here today. We got a few things coming up. We're going to present to you, of course, our mailbag. Some of you sent in some questions, so we'll take a few minutes to answer the questions that you sent in. We're going to look at the standings. A lot of interesting storylines starting to creep in now, especially as we head into the home stretch of the season. Just 5.5-ish weeks to go before we go to the playoffs. We're going to look at game previews, of course. We always do that. And this week on Flash Chat, we're going to present something a little bit different. We're going to be kind of editorializing a little bit, but we're going to look at why Watertown has some interesting challenges that a lot of other teams don't face. What makes Watertown unique? Why is it such an important part of the league? And what are the challenges that they face? So we'll take a look at that. And of course, we will be looking at news and notes. We've had a lot of trades over the last few days, and we are just about 5 days left to the trade deadline. So a few more deals, I think, will be done, and then we'll kind of wrap things up, and then everyone will have their roster set for playoff push. So we got all of that and a lot of other stuff, so please stay tuned. Always remember, if you can't watch the whole video, I know it's a longer video, just go right down below where it says more right here. Click the timestamp for the segment that you want to go to, and it'll go right there. All the segments are anywhere from like 10 to 20 minutes, so you can just watch that little block, and I appreciate it. Any time you tune in and watch, very much appreciated. All right, let's get started, shall we?
What did he say?
So this week on Flash Chat, which apparently is becoming a regular feature, I want to talk about Watertown. Now, I want to kind of talk about why they're important to the league, why they've struggled, maybe in part as of late, and where do we go from here in regards to Watertown. All right. Some of you may have seen the clip from the Watertown Wolves page when they do their meeting with the coaches and the teams and all at Tully's, a restaurant that's local in the Watertown area. Coach Justin Coachman, who, by the way, has been doing a lot more than just coaching. He's been handling a lot of the marketing, the day-to-day operations. He wears a lot of hats for the organizations. He's not just the coach. He's also responsible for bringing in the talent. So the personnel decisions are largely made by Coachman. So he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders, a lot of responsibility that he's carrying. Some of you may have seen the clip, which he's talking about the tremendous amount of difficulties that the team does face, and dealing with a lot of the backlash from the local fan base. Obviously, much of it is not favorable. So Coachman spent about 5 minutes talking about that. It's something that is important to talk about because, first of all, we have to understand what the Watertown Wolves represent when it comes to the FPHL. Okay, they're the longest tenured team in the league, if you include the previous iteration as the Watertown Privateers. They did a rebrand and became the Wolves. Before that, early on, first 3 years of the Fed, they were playing in a small arena 30 miles north in Alexandria Bay, New York, and in a very outdated, dilapidated arena. After 3 seasons, they made the decision to move to Watertown. It was the right call. It was the right move to make. You're moving to a little bit of a larger population center, and Alexandria Bay. It's right there on the St. Lawrence River. It's all about tourism there. That is the gig in Alexandria Bay. As such, it's very hard to market a team to a local fan base. In Watertown, it's a little bit more established. You have a lot of people involved with Fort Drum. Fort Drum is right there in Watertown. Very close relationship with the armed services. And there's a lot more business opportunity as well, corporate opportunity in Watertown. So it was a no-brainer to move. But yeah, they are a founding member, originally known as the Thousand Island Privateers, then Watertown Privateers, then they became the Watertown Wolves. They have played every year except for 2 in the FPHL. They did a rebrand during the 2014-2015 season. Then they took a year off. Was it that year? Looking at my notes. So they took a year off there, came back, and then of course during the COVID year, where we had the Ignite Cup down in Columbus, they did not participate that year. So 14 to 16 years that the Fed has been in existence, the Watertown Wolves has been a part of it. Very important as a founding member. They have won the Commissioner's Cup 3 times, the only team to do that right now as we speak. And they've been largely successful. Their all-time record there, as you can see, 369, 279, and 48. That's a .530 winning percentage. So, they've been pretty consistent over the years. Now, they have had struggles since the last cup that they won in the 2021 to 2022 season. Since then, this is their records. The following year, 2032-4, they were a 4th place team. The following year, they made the playoffs on the last day of the season. Them winning combined with an Elmira loss sent them to the playoffs with a record of 19-31-6. Last year, they had a decent record overall, 28-23-4. Now, a lot of that was based on a very big start at the beginning of the year. 11-3-1 is how they started. And then a couple games got lost. Next thing you know, Charlie Penns, who was serving as coach and GM, was let go. It seemed really sudden. And the reason was obviously not because of on-ice performance. It was because of money. Okay. Watertown is a very tough place to do business, especially when you compare the Wolves to a team in a much larger market like Columbus or Twin City, or some of the other southern teams that are in much larger metropolitan areas. It's very, very tough to do business there. So, as such, they've struggled. And a lot of that has been because they can't afford to bring in the top talent. Now, it's no secret to most everyone here that there are certain teams in the league that pay money under the table to attract talent, whether they have SPHL experience, ECHL experience, whatever. They are, the cream of the crop as far as Fed talent goes, and they're going to go to where the money is. Watertown gets left behind because they don't have a lot of cash reserves sitting around. Again, it's a small community, population of only about 24,000 in the area, so that's not a large base to build your support off of. And I'm not just talking about fan support, I'm talking about corporate dollars, because as I've mentioned on other videos, the number one way, the primary way that teams in the Fed generate capital, generate income, is through corporate sponsorships. It's not ticket sales. Ticket sales is down the list. Typically, you have your corporate sponsorships, merchandise sales, and then your ticket sales, because you still have to pay for operating costs for the arena and whatnot. No team in the Fed owns the arena that they play in, so they've got to pay rent. They've got to pay travel costs. They've got to pay salary, and all the other expenditures that come from running a professional hockey team. So these are the challenges, some of the challenges that the Watertown Wolves face, especially, again, in comparison to some other teams in the FPHL. Okay, first of all, yeah, the corporate sponsorships. I can't really see this because of okay, and that fits in with local demographics, because you don't have as many businesses to pull from and to go looking for support from. Watertown, again, smaller area. Now, if you include the whole kind of metropolitan area, right around Watertown, the surrounding towns, the surrounding communities, you can generate about a population of about 100,000 or 110,000, which, that's not bad. But again, when you only have a limited amount of businesses and corporations operating in that area, it becomes a challenge. And so these kind of go hand in hand, local demographics and corporate dollars. That makes it hard. A lot of businesses don't want to do business in a place like Watertown if they have the opportunity to choose anywhere they go, because you have concerns with climate, rough winters. You have travel distances. The closest large city is Syracuse. That's 70 miles to the south. So, if you're a medium-sized business, are you going to go to Watertown, or are you going to go to Syracuse? You're probably going to try and go to Syracuse if you can. Limited capacity in the arena. The arena seats 1,500. As such, the ticket prices are, I've seen some mixed reports, and I'm not in Watertown, so I don't know, but I'm seeing $15 and or $16 per seat for a Wolves game, which is very reasonably priced. However, when you're only able to sell at most 1,500 tickets, compared to you go 130 miles south, and Binghamton has a capacity of 4,900, yeah, that makes a big difference. That's a lot of extra tickets that Binghamton can sell that Watertown can't. So then the question is, well, why don't you just build an arena with a larger capacity? But then you come back to, with what money? Again, there's limited resources in this area. That it comes back to demographics. Some poor ownership decisions from the previous ownership groups. Now, the last time the Wolves won the Cup was the 2021-22 season. That year, the team was owned by Andreas Johansson, who simultaneously owned the Binghamton Black Bears, who were playing their first season. Okay, he spent the extra money to bring in talent. He paid players under the table. He was able to do that. He was able to make Watertown an attractive place by saying, hey, look, within the last 7 years, we've won 2 cups. We can win it again if you're a part of our team. That hasn't existed over the last 3 or 4 years. So that makes it very difficult to attract the talent. The management groups that came in afterwards made all sorts of promises, and it just didn't pan out. One thing or another happened. There were just a lot of bad marketing decisions made. The ownership group has gone through several changes over the last 3 years to right now where it's owned primarily by Don Kiernan, commissioner of the FPHL. Okay, Don Kiernan is focused on overseeing the league, focusing on the league. He doesn't have time to do local marketing, local advertising, so that falls on people like Justin Coachman. So again, he's busy trying to coach a team, trying to get talent on his team, but he's also got to worry about making sure the corporate dollars are coming in, that ticket deals are being made, whatever else needs to be done to help promote the team, he's got to do that. So yeah, he's spread really, really thin. So you got all these challenges that makes Watertown not as an attractive place to play. Just as a comparison, I mentioned also limited amenities. Okay, Watertown has what they need. It's kind of bare bones as far as for the team. Locker room facilities, weight room, all that kind of stuff. You have that, but if you compare it to what Binghamton has, Binghamton was an AHL city for almost 40 years. So obviously they made sure that all those amenities that the players would want were there and in place. Makes Binghamton a much more attractive place to go than Watertown, generally speaking. So all these things kind of play against Watertown. So basically what I'm saying is the Wolves are doing what they can. They're doing as much as they can, but the question becomes, is it enough to keep up with today's economics, with the competition level in the FPHL, which has increased? Can they keep up with the rest of the league? That's an open-ended question. There is no easy yes or no answer. And that is frustrating to a lot of fans. I know, but yeah, it really gives you an idea that the picture is much larger than what we, the average fans, see. So again, a lot of frustration, and the frustration tends to snowball. You heard the frustration in Coachman's voice when he made his statement. You've heard the frustration in the fans' voice. You've heard the frustration in the local community's voice. And at some point, you got to figure out some way of being able to kind of stop the bleeding. The bottom end issue here, and people have asked this, and Justin Coachman addressed this. Well, why don't we just sell the team to an owner who has more resources? The team has been up for sale all year. There have been no takers. It's there's the big for sale sign out there. At the right price, you want it, it's yours. But nobody's come forward, and that's been frustrating as well for Kiernan, for the league, for people like Coachman. It's just been frustrating for everybody. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but we see the times are changing. The league is changing. I hope Watertown can keep up because the league needs Watertown. First of all, as a historic route, as a base, this is one of the 6 cities that the league got started in, or the general community. And there was a reason for that. When the league began, people saw something in Watertown. The question is it still there? I don't know. We also need them there for geographic stability. The old footprint of the FPHL, where they were just originally just in the northeast corner of the United States, that's expanded. It's everywhere east of the Mississippi and beyond now, since we have Topeka and Minnesota and Baton Rouge and Monroe all in the fray. So, the league has expanded its boundaries, but the heart of the league, where it's got started, it's getting a little thin. It's getting a little thin. We have Watertown, Danbury, Binghamton. That's it. So those 3 teams are kind of stuck on an island. God forbid something happens to Watertown, where Watertown says, we just can't make it anymore. We can't compete. We're losing money. We're losing too much money. What happens to Danbury? What happens to Binghamton? What happens to the FPHL in general? All valid questions. And again, it's a part of the bigger picture. So I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about this. Again, this wasn't meant to necessarily answer questions. It was just meant to kind of open the window and expose what's going on, the successes, the hard times, everything in between, just to kind of educate a little bit. All right, let's switch from this on to something else.
You've got mail.
When you control the mail, you control information.
Okay, so we had a few people send in stuff through the mailbag, and just want to go through these real quick. Not anything really complicated, so this should be a short segment. All right, just wanted to remind you, of course, you can contact me either by direct messenger through the Fed League Flash page, or you can email me directly, fedflash15@gmail.com. Okay, so one of the questions we had, JF said, what's the difference between failed to report and not yet reported? Well, really, there is no difference. But not yet reported usually, not always, but usually gives an indication that for some reason the player is not able to get to whichever team has their rights for a couple days or something. Maybe something happened. There's car troubles or something. Because usually you see the not yet reported after a trade or after someone is coming down from the ECHL or the SPHL. So it sounds better. It looks better on the transaction page, not yet reported. But we did have a situation, just to use an example, where we had Zach Pamelayan was traded to the Biloxi Breakers, and they posted not yet reported, and then it was the next day that Pamelayan signed. Because teams have to report the status of a player within 24 hours of a transaction, they have to put something down. So if it was a situation where Zach said, hey, I can get there, but I can't get there till Saturday, okay, great. We'll put you down as not yet reported, and then when you come into town, we'll put you as signed. So, and that's what happened. So, the optics are a little bit better, I would say. Okay, let's see. JJ asks, any way I can get that I'm able to get some intel as far as a new home for Motor City. I talked a little bit about this last week and mentioned that I had reached out to owner Ken Andrews on a couple of occasions. I have not heard back from him. He hasn't responded, and I'm not, you know, criticizing him or anything. I'm just saying factually he hasn't responded. Um, at this point, there are a couple of widely circulated rumors are out there, and I'm saying that these are rumors. Okay, so don't say, "Oh, Gary said this is the case." It's just the rumors. First is that they had an arena deal set up. It didn't work out. The second rumor is that they do have an arena in Wyandotte, Michigan, which is south of Detroit, but that the arena is in need of some major renovations and may not be ready for the upcoming season. So, if that were the case, I'm saying if, there could be yet another year of dormancy for the Rockers. Now, the Rockers are, even though they're not playing on the ice, they are an active member of the league. They're paying league dues. They are still participating in the Board of Governors meetings. There's still representation there. So the Rockers are not a dead franchise. I can specify that. But as far as the arena situation, I can't confirm it because I haven't gotten any word back. So that's where we stand on things. All right, next question. AT asked, are the Columbus River Dragons and the Wasaga River Dragons of the GMHL, the Greater Metro Hockey League, are they connected? The answer is yes, they are. Similar logo, you see. The Wasaga River Dragons are the official affiliate of the Columbus River Dragons. And we've seen a couple players that have played for Wasaga in the past come in to play for Columbus. Now, we just had a situation this last week where Lucas Texmo, he just wasn't able to really crack the lineup often enough, wasn't getting a whole lot of playing time. So, by agreement, between the two parties, Lucas agreed to go to Wasaga to help Wasaga with their playoff aspirations in the GMHL. Wasaga is one of the two best teams in the league, by the way. And then when the playoffs for the GMHL are concluded, then he'll come back and join the Columbus River Dragons roster once again. But yes, there is an official affiliation there. All right, DF asked a question, and this is a good question. This is one of those basic questions that I'm sorry that I'm guilty of just kind of assuming, oh, everybody knows what this means, and that's not the case. So for us, for the newer fans, we're spelling this out. DF asked, what is PTBNL that you see on the transactions page? It'll say something like Joe Schmo traded for PTBNL. That means player to be named later. So it's future transactions or future considerations. So that deal will be completed down the line. But yeah, that's what that means, PTBNL. And if you're a new fan and you come across something like this, you don't know what it is, don't be afraid to ask. That's what we're here for. So it's not a dumb question. We all are progressively learning more and more about the league. All right. Final question I had came from BC. Wanted to know if anyone has been looking at the United Wireless Arena in Dodge City, Kansas, not too far from Topeka. That would be a great rivalry and would help cut down on travel expenses for both Topeka and Minnesota. But to my understanding, yes, it was looked at. What the results of those meetings between the league officials and the staff of the United Wireless Arena. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I can't say, yes, there's going to be a team there. I can't say, no, there's not going to be a team there. I just have not heard anything as a result of the meetings. I know that the league has looked at the arena, but that's all I know. It would make great sense. It would be a pretty ideal location to help kind of cut down travel on for some of those more Western teams. But again, I haven't heard anything. In regards to just any expansion possibilities coming up for next year, I will say we're probably not going to hear much until middle to end of April. And then the league will say, if there's a new team coming in, they'll say, okay, our next expansion team is in this place. There's a lot of T's to cross, a lot of I's to dot in different locations. Scott Brand had posted on Facebook. Of course, you all know Scott Brand. He worked with the PD Ice Cats. He's worked with Motor City and the Carolina and Columbus. He said that there are 3 possible locations that the Fed could possibly fit in a team for next year. He did not mention where. He didn't even hint at it. And that makes sense at this point because nothing is set in stone. We don't want to put the horse in front. No, we don't want to put the cart in front of the horse. So that's the scenario there. We will find out more information, but it's going to be another month and a half to 2 months before we do get word on that. All right, so that's our mailbag. Always remember that you can contact me once again, either by direct message on Messenger, or you can email me. The email address, once again, is fedflash15@gmail.com. And thank you so much for your participation in the Fed Flash Face-Off. So we've gotten into the really fun part of the year. If you're a fan, you start to watch the standings. You start to kind of count some numbers and figure things out, especially for those of us who kind of nerd out over numbers. It gets to be really, really fascinating. You figure out all the magic numbers and all that kind of stuff. So we'll take a quick look at this. Pardon the little sunspots there. It's just sunlight coming through the front door. It's beautiful to have sunlight in northeastern Pennsylvania, so we're going to leave that alone. Okay, Continental Division. Got everything laid out here. And again, like last week, I'm only putting down the top 5 in each division. Again, Biloxi is already officially eliminated from playoff contention in the Continental Division, so you're down to 6 teams, and Baton Rouge, they're getting kind of close. Their elimination number is now 23 with 15 games left to play. So it's starting to get kind of close. So I'm just focusing on the top 5. Basically, in both divisions, we have a 10-point gap between the 4th and the 5th place team. All right, but let's look up at the top first. Of course, just for new fans, the number of games they've played, wins, losses, overtime losses, number of points. That's how you determine who's in what seed. The winning percentage, and then the magic number. That's the number of points that's needed to clinch a playoff spot. So for Athens, they have 90 points, one better than Monroe. These two have been going back and forth for about a month now, kind of jostling for that top spot. Magic number is 8 points for Athens. They have a better winning percentage based on more wins because both Athens and Monroe have played 40 games. Monroe, though, still only 1 point behind, and so as such, their magic number is 9 to officially clinch a playoff spot. Now, I listed these three in black with the points because they're A, pretty close to each other, and B, black is kind of symbolizing what I think these teams are a lock for being in the playoffs, even though they haven't clinched the position yet. It's only a matter of time. So I would say your top three here: Athens, Monroe, Columbus. They're going to be in. All right, so Columbus's magic number is 13. Now, the only thing that kind of hurts them from moving any farther up is that they've played 4 more games already than Monroe and Athens. So that means there's going to be times when these two teams are playing somebody and Columbus is not playing anybody, and they could potentially lose 3 points in the standings. That's just the way the schedule is. For PD, for the Ice Cats, they've played 42 games, and like I said, they have a 10-point lead on Twin City. They've been playing phenomenally. But even though there's a 10-point gap, there's still plenty of time. So the magic number is pretty large right now for PD. It's 36 points. Any combination of wins by them or losses by Twin City kind of chips that number down. But yeah, and you'll see that Twin City has an extra game to try and make up some ground. So that's good for them. We're really in the stretch time now, so we'll see what happens. So that's the numbers for the Continental Division. For the Empire Division, 3 teams have played 44 games already: Binghamton, Blue Ridge, and Danbury. So yeah, both the Prowlers and the Scarecrows have the benefit of a couple extra games between now and the end of the year. For Binghamton, I have them in blue because they have already clinched a playoff spot. The magic number for them to clinch the first spot and to automatically be the first seed in the Empire Division is 11 points. All right. So that, and I'll explain something when I get through this here. For the Prowlers, 78 points. They're pretty much a lock. It's 14 for their magic number, but I think it's only a matter of time at this point. Again, they've played only 42 games, so they have a little bit extra room to try and narrow this gap. I don't think they're going to catch Binghamton, but they could get closer. And more importantly, they can separate themselves a little bit from down here and lock up that number 2 position. I think that's the goal right now for Port Huron. Lock up the 2nd seed. All right. The Bobcats, 44 games played. They had a really rough weekend this last weekend. Hello. So they're at 66 points. And the Scarecrows, 2 less games played and only 1 point behind. So they could end up jumping the Bobcats before the end of the year. They've got that opportunity. Finally, Danbury, again, 10 points behind Topeka. And now in this case, they've played 2 more games, so Topeka could potentially increase their lead over the Hat-Tricks. 12 games left. All right, now, to sum up all of this for newer fans, how the playoffs work are you have 4 teams that make the playoffs in each division. The first seed plays the 4th seed. Athens plays, like if the playoffs were to start today, Athens would host PD Ice Cats, Binghamton would host Topeka. Then the 2nd and the 3rd seeds play. The 2nd seed would have the extra home game in the playoffs. So Monroe would face Columbus. The Prowlers would face the Bobcats if today was the end of the season, but it's not. So that's how the playoffs are going to work, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's getting really interesting. In the Empire Division, Watertown in sixth place, their elimination number is down to 19. So they're running out of time. And Indiana, their elimination number is 13. It's been a rough year for Indiana, but I think for a first-year club, they've done okay. So anyway, there we go. There are our standings as they stand right now as you're watching this, if you're watching this before all the games get played. So here we go with our preview for the games this upcoming weekend, and very interesting matchups in a couple cases. And I just jotted down some different things. I don't want to take real long with this, but do want to spend some time talking about each matchup. Now, our first matchup is Topeka Scarecrows and the Biloxi Breakers. They are playing Thursday and Friday. It's the only Thursday game we have this week. All right, so this is kind of a strange matchup. Both teams coming in with struggles. Topeka has lost their last 5, and Biloxi has lost their last 15. Biloxi is officially eliminated from playoff contention, so at this point they're just playing for pride, playing for the spoiler role. And Topeka, they got something to play for. They're 3 weeks ago, it looked like everything was going really, really well for them. They had pulled into a second place tie, and then the wheels came off. And it just hasn't been the same since. Now, the strange thing about Topeka is they are a much better team on the road than they are at home. And so I think they'll actually be glad to be hitting the road. So not that they don't want to play in front of the fans, but it's just they just seem to have a better focus away from the Stormont Vale. Head to head, they've played 10 times already, and Topeka has won 7. Topeka is one of only 2 teams that Biloxi has wins against, the other one being Baton Rouge. So that's just one of those weird stats. At this point, we'll see what happens, but both teams are struggling offensively. Defensively, things have been better in Topeka, but things have been much worse as well. Biloxi, it's just a matter of just stopping the bleeding at this point. So that is our first matchup. Then we have, again, Indiana and Port Huron, but this time the venue shifts to McMorran Place in Port Huron. Of course, this last weekend they just played a 3-3 in Indiana. This has become quite a rivalry. If you watched Sunday's game, that was very much evident that the teams don't like each other. So this is going to be hotly contested, and it's just really wild. Indiana, 4 of their 10 wins have come against Port Huron. So go figure. You can't explain it. It's just one of those things that happens. So 12 previous meetings, and Port Huron has won 8 of them. I believe they played 2 more times after this weekend. Port Huron does have a slight lead in goals scored, but as you can see, neither team is scoring a whole lot. 43 goals scored in 12 games. That's about 3.5 per game, and which is really what you need to win in this league consistently. So Indiana, they're in last place. They're looking at an elimination number of 13. Any combination of wins by Topeka or losses by Indiana whittles this number down. Now, for Port Huron, their magic number to clinch a playoff spot is just 14 points. So they're going to do their best to get 6 of their own points this weekend and hope for some help. So we will see what happens. But yeah, offensively, both teams, the numbers have been dipping the last few weeks. Indiana, their power play, it was at 18, 19% most of the year, and now it's down to 14.4. They lost a lot of their top scoring talent midway through the year. Now, for Port Huron, they're down to 3.2 goals scored per game. Their defense is phenomenal. Obviously, they've played a very tight defensive style, and it's led to some success, but they need to score more, and they've got the talent. The strange thing is with Port Huron is you look at their roster sheet, and you see this guy could be scoring 20 goals a year. This guy could be scoring 20 goals a year. This guy could be scoring 20 goals a year, and it just doesn't happen. But at the same time, I don't think that the team wants to abandon the team defense scheme that they have going on. So the thinking is probably, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So anyway, this I put a little star on because this is going to be a very interesting matchup. Athens and PD. The two teams do not like each other, much like this. This is a pretty good rivalry. And PD has won the last 2. So, as a matter of fact, going back over the last 4 times these two teams have met, it's either a PD win or the goal differential is just 1 goal. So, PD's kind of evened up the field with Athens. They'll be playing 7:15 both Friday and Saturday. Head to head, you see the goal differential really isn't that much difference. 43 goals here, 36 goals here. And now Athens has won 8 of the 11 matchups, but again, PD has improved greatly. Right now, PD is the hottest team in the league. So it's really interesting. As you can see, they're 8-2 in their last 10. That's the best of anybody right now in the league. Athens, they've had a few little dips, nothing major, but they're 6-4 in their last 10. Now, Athens needs 8 points, just 8, to clinch a playoff berth. Now, that includes any points that they get by winning or any points that are lost by Twin City. So it could happen this weekend. They could end up clinching. We will have to wait and see. PD, they are really playing just phenomenally as of late. So I think this is going to be a very big matchup. Going to Blue Ridge and Danbury. These teams haven't seen each other in a while, and both teams have had some major changes to their rosters since then. So you kind of throw these numbers out the window. But they did meet 4 times. Both teams won half of the games. A slight scoring advantage to Danbury, 16-14. But for example, the last time that they played, Dustin Jasso was not a member of the Bobcats, and Alexander Legkov was still a Danbury hat trick. Of course, Legkov has moved on to PD. 7:30 on Friday, 7 o'clock on Saturday. I think I just thought of a little strategy I think is going to be a key point for each team in this matchup. For the Bobcats, you've got to get a lot of pressure on Kyle Penton. Penton has quietly had a very good year in the Danbury goal. The more pressure you have on him and right in front of him, the better your chances. For the hat tricks, I think their formula for success is what PD did this last week, and that is shut down Dustin Giselle. If you don't give Giselle any chance and any space to move the puck out to a teammate, spot the open man, or to break free and score himself, you've won half the battle, in my mind. Both teams have a sub-zero goal differential. For the Bobcats, a lot of that came from this last weekend and the getting swept by PD. Danbury, they've gotten better, but yeah, they're still below. They're still in the negative. But all right, so and the Bobcats are fighting for their playoff lives in a way. They're in third, but only by 1 point. They're only 1 point up on Topeka, so they want to better their situation. So I think there's going to be some urgency in this game for both teams. Danbury, they're 10 points outside of the playoff plateau right now, so they want in, so they got to string together some wins pretty quick. All right, Binghamton and Watertown, again, these teams play each other 17 times, and this is matchup 14 and 15. No, 15 and 16. So one more time after this weekend. All right, so yeah, Binghamton's won 13 of the matches. The goal differential is ridiculous, 87-35, but Watertown plays much, much better in their rink. When these two teams meet, typically the game is a little bit more physical in Watertown, and we'll see what happens. As of recently, the Wolves' defense has kind of fallen apart. They've given up 48 goals in the last 7 games they've played. That's a lot. For the Black Bears, they're 9-1 in Watertown. Most of these 17 games have been in Watertown. Only 4 times they met in Binghamton. Kind of strange. But Binghamton, they need 11 points to clinch a division title. The Wolves, their time is running out. Their elimination number is 19 points. Let's go to the matchup of the week. This is going to be a good one. Monroe and Columbus in Columbus. They've only met 2 other times this year, and that was both in Monroe. Monroe won those games pretty handily, and but the scene has changed. So let's see if that makes a difference. 7:35 on Friday, 7:05 on Saturday. The keys to these games, I believe, for Monroe, clog up the defensive zone. Don't allow the River Dragons time in the offensive zone, pass around the puck, just get in the way of those passing lanes, have your sticks active, sweep check the puck away, keep Columbus from being able to get into the middle to create scoring chances. For Columbus, I think the key is puck movement and quick puck movement, especially east to west, meaning if this is your ice surface, the goal is here, the goal is down the bottom. North-south would be this, east-west is this. So if you, as you're advancing puck, get your puck movement east to west quite a bit, I think that'll help break up any kind of defensive clog that Monroe has set up. I think that's pretty big key. Both teams' offenses very good. Monroe 5.2 goals scored per game, and Columbus 4.4, both above average. All right, and then the final matchup, Twin City. Poor Twin City, they have got to be just dog tired. This is their 3rd straight week where they are playing 3 games in 3 nights. So they are traveling to Baton Rouge. This first time these 2 teams have seen each other. So it's Friday, 8:05. These are Eastern time. Central time is an hour behind. So Friday 8:05, Saturday 8:05, Sunday 4:05. All right, Baton Rouge, they're a good defensive team. They don't score a whole lot. They score very little. Twin City, they don't score a whole lot either, and they are going to be without their top gun Gus Ford for Friday and Saturday. Both teams are 5-5 in their last 10. Twin City, they are averaging 3.3 goals scored per game, so that's under the average. The Zydeco are 2.6. It's ranking 13th in the league. They're the strongest when they're 5-on-5. Their power play numbers, not good. Their penalty kill numbers, average. So really, the longer that they can stay 5-5 and not spend a lot of time in the box, I think that is an advantage for the Zydeco. They're coming off of 2 straight wins over Topeka in Topeka. So Zydeco, even though they're in 6th place and their elimination number is getting down there too. Let's see, where did I write that down? Their elimination number is now 23 points. So they've got a little bit of wiggle room, but not much. But yeah, they're coming in kind of off of a high, with 2 straight wins. So we'll see what happens. Just a reminder, and I wrote it down here. The one game on Sunday, you're going to have to think in your mind, oh, that's an hour earlier the next day, because Saturday night we change the clocks, we move ahead, we lose an hour of sleep. So sad. But anyway, so again, all these games that are listed, the start time is Eastern time. And don't forget to change your clocks on Saturday night, Sunday morning. All right. We've covered everything we can cover with previews. So moving forward. All right. What better way to end this edition of the Fed Flash Face-Off than with news and notes? And I usually save this towards the end because it's one of the last segments that I record. Obviously, I've got to record a little bit at a time. And time's limited. So, this is one of the things so it can capture as much of what's going on as possible, because invariably I'll give you news and notes and then something big will happen the next day or the day that I post this video. So, as a matter of fact, speaking of big news, let's transition into that. On Tuesday, the whole Fed was buzzing about the big trade between the Twin City Thunderbirds and the Athens Rock Lobsters, which sent Gus Ford to the Athens Rock Lobsters. Now, obviously, Gus Ford is probably a top 5 player. I think I can cut out the word probably. He's one of the top 5 players in the league. He's an incredible talent. He's always over a point per game every year. He's the 6th leading scorer all time in Fed history, and he's changing his address. Now, a lot of people got news of this and thought, what just happened? Well, in a nutshell, Gus Ford requested this trade because the coach of Athens is Garrett Rutledge. Garrett Rutledge coached the Carolina Thunderbirds for 2 years, and when Gus was recruited out of college to come play in the FPHL, Garrett Rutledge was the person who recruited him. They have a very close relationship, and he wanted one more opportunity to play for Rutledge, for and with. So, to that end, he requested a trade, and the Thunderbirds acquiesced. They brought in quite a haul for Ford, which, the enormous talent that he is. You would need that. So yeah, the Thunderbirds get Kason Gallant, who was a 40-goal scorer last year. They get Johansson, great defenseman, stay at home kind of guy. The Thunderbirds could use more defensive presence. Johansson comes in with a +12 rating. And then Dominic Dumas, who had played for the Thunderbirds before. So he's kind of coming back to Winston-Salem. So that was the deal. And you can see really where both teams benefited as a result of this trade. Athens, again, they get another proven goal scorer, and great talent. You can imagine him and Garrett Milan working on a line together. That would be something. I don't know, what line he'll be on or anything, but the fact that Ford is playing with players like Philip Vigili and Garrett Milan and Gleb Ben Durkin and other really good players. This is a great way for him to get another shot at a cup. We'll see if it happens. For Twin City, they get a lot of depth, and that's been one of their problems this year, is a lack of secondary scoring depth. Now they have it with Kason Gallant, and you add in Dumas as well. You have a couple more people who can put the puck in the net. Dumas is a great playmaker as well. He's got 14 assists on the year. So I think both teams benefit from this trade. Now, a weird stipulation of this trade, and a lot of people are questioning this, why this got set up this way, I don't know. I don't have any insight into it, but at the end of the season, Gus Ford's rights go back to the Thunderbirds. I don't know if that means that potentially he might join the Thunderbirds front office. I don't know. That's just speculation. So kind of a weird condition of the trade, but nonetheless, there it is. Now, because 3 players are coming in, well, 2 more players because Ford is out, you get 3 back, so it's +2. A couple other players for the Thunderbirds had to get moved out. So to that end, they traded Corey Cunningham to the Indiana Sentinels in exchange for financial considerations. And they also waived Michael Mania. Now, I've got to spend just a minute on this piece. This was a little concerning. Mania has been out with an upper body injury. He sustained a couple weeks ago, and people, the Thunderbirds fans were saying, well, when are we going to see Mania back? The team just said, when he's ready to go, he'll go. He's gone. So they released him on waivers. And I'm a little troubled by that because I don't know if he was still on IR. My understanding was that the Fed had made a rule or regulation that you could not either trade or release a player if they were out on IR or if they were on suspension. So this is kind of a special scenario with Ford being moved because Ford still has to serve 2 games suspension. So he can sign with Athens, but he can't play this upcoming weekend. He's got to serve his suspension. So I don't know when or where that rule may have changed as far as not being able to move out a player while they are suspended or inactive. So it's kind of a strange one. I don't know. Okay, so that happened. There was another trade that was announced on Tuesday. Well, it was the second half of a trade. Last week we had the trade that sent Trevor Lord from the PD Ice Cats to the Topeka Scarecrows, and it was marked as for a player to be named later. Well, on Tuesday we found out who that player to be named later is. It's Elijah Wilson. So, and it's going to be really strange now because now, for the first time in 3 seasons, Houston Wilson and Elijah Wilson, no relation, obviously, are reunited on the same team. They both played on the Elmira River Sharks a couple of years ago. So I guess we're going to have to fix the nameplates or something. Well, obviously, Houston Wilson, everybody knows, is number 17 for the Ice Cats, and Elijah Wilson will not be number 17. So we'll see how that kind of shapes up with PD. But nonetheless, those were 2 really big trades. Now, the trade deadline is this upcoming Monday. Now, unlike the NHL, where we see a flurry of activity the day before the trade deadline and the day of the trade deadline, you don't really see that in the FPHL. You're seeing what you're seeing now with players being moved, a week or a week and a half or 2 weeks ahead of the deadline. So, keep watch, because I'm sure there's probably going to be some more deals made as this week concludes. Probably by Saturday, we'll start seeing a diminishment of that kind of activity. And then after Monday, you could still see something on the transaction page, kind of like Elijah Wilson's situation. He's a player to be named later, or he's future considerations. That could still happen, where we'll see a transaction 2 weeks from now, and it'll say Joe Schmo was traded from the Binghamton Black Bears to the Watertown Wolves to complete a trade earlier this year. I'm just using that as a facetious example because there was no trade between Binghamton and Watertown. But nonetheless, that's my point being, is that we could still see like the second half of transactions listed. But for the most part, once we get to Monday, that's going to be it. And then the players and the teams are settled on their rosters, and carries us to the end of the year. All right, so let us move on from that news. A lot of interesting activities. Just want to mention Star of the Year. Yep, I have the trophy, and it will be presented to the Fed League Flash Star of the Year. If you've been following things on either the Facebook page or the WordPress page, I've been listing a top star every week since the beginning of the season. It's going to go through week 25. It's not going to include the last 2 weeks of the season. But and then whoever is has the most points, because I award points for top star each week is 3 points, other stars 2 points, and then I have some honorable mentions. I give 1 point. The person with the most points is going to get the trophy, and it's going to be an actual award. So I will try to remember to display it next week. All right, so we have that going on. We have neutral site games that we want to talk about, and very important. There hasn't been a whole lot of attention generally given to the first of the 3 neutral site games, and now these are all actual games, real games that count in the standings, but they're just being played at neutral sites. The first one is between Danbury and Watertown. They will be playing at Menon Arena in Morris Township, New Jersey, not too far from New York City. And that will be played on March 21st, Friday. I will be there. All right. We also have the 2-game weekend the following weekend in Minnesota at the new arena for the Minnesota Northern Lights. That will be played March 27th and 28th, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, both nights between Topeka Scarecrows and the Indiana Sentinels. And you've seen quite a few posts from that. The Northern Lights have been very, very active on social media, which is a really, really good sign as they prepare for their inaugural year. So we will see. And the whole point of these games is to test the future markets, to build up hype and build up support for games in new markets. So we'll see how that works out. Speaking of Minnesota, as we kind of close this out, they do have a contest going. If you want to participate, you can. Every team has a goal song. They score a goal, and there's some familiar song that is played that gets the crowd hyped, and they celebrate with a song. So choose a goal song for the Minnesota Northern Lights. All you have to do is go to their page or Facebook page and comment down below on that post where it says goal song. The song that you'd like and the artist that's by. Go through the comments, like some of the songs that you have seen suggested, and then like and share that post. You have to do both of those things, like and share the post. The winner is going to be announced after a little bit. The contest ends, I believe it's this upcoming Sunday. It's either Saturday or Sunday. And the winner will get 4 tickets to the game of their choice at the Ralph Engelstad Arena, as well as a gift pack of team merchandise. So you can participate and become a part of Minnesota Northern Lights history. Choose their goal song. A nice little contest. I think that's a really neat idea. So anyway, again, the contest will end this weekend. But check that out. All right, so that concludes news and notes, and we have come to the end of another Fed Flash Face-Off. Thank you again so much for watching. The next episode, next week, we're going to be talking in the Flash Chat segment about the neutral site game, specifically at Menin Arena between the Watertown Wolves and the Danbury Hat-Tricks on the 21st. Give you some of the history of the arena, the history of hockey in northern New Jersey, and we'll kind of hype that up for you. All right, so don't miss that, and we're going to have a lot more other stuff as well. So make sure to tune back in next week. All right, I want to thank you so much for listening, whether you watch just a segment of this or the whole video. I do appreciate it. You can always select the segment. As I said in the intro, just go down below where you see more right below the screen. Click on more, and then you get all the timestamps for the different segments. Click on the timestamp that you'd like to watch. It goes right there. And I understand some people don't have an hour 15 or an hour 20 to watch a video. I appreciate you watching any part of this. All right, so that concludes our show. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, by the way. That's where the news, as it happens, gets printed, and then we expound upon it a little bit here on YouTube. If you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. Deeply appreciate it. Make sure to hit like. Make sure to share with your friends. All right, that concludes things for today's edition of the Fed Flash Face-Off. If I can say that, we'll be good. I am Gary Ryan, the Fed League Flash. Have yourselves a wonderful week, and we will see you Saturday for game recaps. Thank you again for watching. We'll see you again next time, right here on the Fed Flash Face-Off.